Trench Mob Testimonies, where we dive into how your test became your testimony. Gentlemen, welcome to Trench Mob Testimonies, man. And today we got a special guest, man. Good friend of mine, guy I've worked with for years. Kind of look back on and admired from when I was at EKU here and at Mercer before, and at LSU, and watch him do great things at UAB. Today we have a former Alabama Crimson Tide offensive lineman, 2-year starter, former D-line coach for UAB and Texas State. We have Coach Kyle Tatum.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
No doubt, brother, man. We're glad to get you on, man. Want to kind of get right into it. Experts would say that you were probably the top defensive tackle. Yes, defensive tackle prospect out of high school in Alabama. Your senior year, and if guys don't truly know who you are, he's a huge man. He's like 6'6", 300 plus pounds. So, in high school, I'm sure he was bullying guys at a powerhouse Prattville High School. His senior year, he had 95 tackles, 25 TFLs, 14 sacks, and 3 fumble recoveries. Man, I don't think I had that in my career. So tell me this right here. When you got to Alabama, what made you make the decision to change from defensive line after having a good, decent freshman year as a defensive lineman at Alabama to switch over to offensive line?
Well, Jeremy, early in my career, I redshirted and then started a few games at 3 Technique my redshirt freshman year and had some success. But when I was playing in Alabama, we were going through probation. It was a time of a loss of 25 scholarships. And, we know that, offensive linemen, they don't grow on trees. It's one of the hardest positions to recruit. Like you said, I'm a lengthy guy, and, our depth was lacking tremendously on the offensive line. And, Coach Shula and Coach Bob Conley called me in and really talked to me about, making the transition. It would help our team solidify some depth. And, I've always been a team player, and I really wanted to do what was best for our team to help us take our team to the next level. And, so I made the transition. I talked to a lot of guys that, said I had the body type to be an NFL offensive lineman. So if that was going to be my ticket to make it to the next level and along with helping our team just get better in general, it was a win-win situation. And, my heart was always, it started on the D-line. And that's where, I played for Coach Bill Clark at Prattville, and we all know he's a big defensive guy. So he really instilled it into my DNA that, defense wins championships, and, defense is where games are won. And so I took pride in that. But, in the overall picture of things, I knew that the transition for me moving over to the offensive line was going to help everybody. So, I was glad to do it. And, looking back, it's really catapulted me as a coach, just seeing both sides of the spectrum. Understanding what's being taught on both sides of the ball is critical. So, it was a good thing. It really was.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you turned into a starter at offensive line, a 2-year starter there. You had a pretty good career. So I think it turned out the right way for you. Kind of looking back on, after you leave Alabama, you get into training camp as an offensive tackle with the Calgary Stampeders.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2007, I think that was, or 2008. And then in 2007, the year prior to, going to CFL, you got into the camp with the Baltimore Ravens. Kind of expound on those professional experiences, man. Because a lot of people like myself and like Tony, we didn't get opportunities to even get a cup of coffee in the NFL or the CFL. We I did a arena league, and that was it. So just kind of talk about that, because I think people need to hear those stories, because sometimes you don't make it for 10, 12 years in the league, and you get that cup of coffee, but it allows you to meet and greet and network with some other people that could probably help you in your career. So it's kind of expound on that.
Yeah, there's no question. And growing up as a kid, and especially being in a football town, and brother and dad play college football, I really wanted to take my game to the next level, and I wanted to be a professional guy. I did make it into some training camps, with Baltimore and Calgary, but I did get cut. I did get released, and those are that's the harsh reality of it. You have to be, first of all, in great health. I was coming off a labrum tear and AC surgery where they repaired my AC joint, my labrum posterior and anteriorly, and they did the Mumford where they trimmed the end of your collarbone. So I was looking at a strong 4 months recovery coming off that surgery into training camp, and you're trying to block Ray Lewis, and you're going against guys like Head Reed. I just wasn't quite up to par as far as my health. And they cut me, and they told me, look, hey, if you're a little more healthy, we like you. You're an athletic guy. You can definitely fit our mold, but it was God's plan, and I think just being there gave me tremendous amount of confidence. Gave me a lot of experience that I use as a coach. Just seeing those guys operate. You're talking about being in a locker room. I'll never forget the first day I, saw my locker, and I look around at Steve McNair, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jonathan Ogden, just Hall of Fame guys. And that was special to me. And even though I didn't seal the deal, I still got a tremendous amount of experience that I'll never forget. The same thing with Calgary. Didn't quite, have the kind of career that I wanted to as a professional athlete, but I gave it everything I had. I left it all on the field. And the good Lord, had different plans for me, and he had me exactly where he wanted me to be, and it's all part of God's plan, God's will, and from there I came back home and got ready for the next chapter in my life. So, I got no regrets. That's for sure, brother.
That's awesome, man. And kind of moving forward with that, after your professional career, didn't quite go as planned. You returned back to Prattville for 2 seasons, and helped bring a state title there as an offensive line coach in 2008. So talk me a little bit about your experience, man, and how was that like for you going back to your old high school and winning a state title as an O-line coach?
Yeah, it was so special in so many ways. And a lot of people don't know that first year was we it took a very hard turn. The first night of training camp in that 2008 season, I lost my mom and my uncle to a drunk driver in a boating accident. And it was it was just one of those things that you never thought in a million years would ever happen to you. And that was a big turning point in my life, because I lost my mom. She was my hero. My uncle was like a second father to me. He did a lot of great things for me just as a mentor, and those two people were taken from us too soon. And I went through a lot of pain, a lot of agony that year, and quite frankly, I was really mad at God for a long time, just asking him, why in the world would you take these people from us? And I really learned to believe that God takes some of his best people to fight his biggest battles, and really hung my hat on that. I still turn to my mom for a lot of motivation, a lot of things that she instilled to me as a young boy. I still use it today as a man. She lives through me, but just we won the state championship that year, and it was a three-peat. Won our third straight state championship that year. But I coached with so many guys and worked with so many guys that were so uplifting. Mike Benefield and Bam, we coached O-line together. Jamie Dubose was our head coach. Lee Hicks was our principal. And those guys were just people that, I could lean on going through such tough times. And at Prattville, it was a lot like at UAB, Jeremy, it was family. And that's the way Coach Clark kind of built that thing. And it's so special when you can work in a family environment where, people have your back, and that was, one of the things that was so great about us working together at UAB is, we kind of fed off each other and that was, it was obviously a very tough time and very tragic situation that I think, really turned into a good thing. As far as just understanding why the Lord took those people from us. But, winning a state championship, my first year coaching, I was like, man, this coaching stuff is pretty easy, but it was a lot about those kids. We had such a special group. We had so many guys that went on to play college football. And that was kind of the turning point where, Hoover had won so many state championships in a row, and then we kind of turned the tide and won 3 in a row. And I was able to be a part of that third one. And then the next year we were runner-up and lost in a close one to Hoover in the 2009 title game. And, from there I was itching to get into college and went on to UAB to be an assistant strength coach and work with the football team there. So I really just got a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence heading into my collegiate coaching career. So, yeah, Tony, it was special in so many ways. But I think I grew more as a man in that 2-year period of time than I have my whole life. Really had to grow up, when you face something tragically like that, it makes you grow up, makes you learn to appreciate life. And, it's not always about winning championships and doing those things, even though it's awesome. God didn't create us to be average. He created us to be great and be a special person. But Jeremy, you've lost your mom and your pops, and it makes you realize how precious every moment is. And, life is like water vapor. We're here and then we're gone. So it really, that's really my testimony. And, it's part of my testimony and who I am. But, I preach it to my kids. I preach it to anybody I come in contact with that might be struggling. You got to understand, and it's true. Coach Clark put it the best, right? Win the day. If you can just win the day and take each day as a battle of its own, and focus on what's important now, right? The acronym for WIN. That's what I always try to live by is just staying in the details of what's important now. So. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, man, losing your parents, man, and going through that situation, it changes a man, and in particular, we're strong-minded man that life is going good, right? Everything is on track, and everybody's fairly healthy, and you're feeling good about life, and then a tragedy like that happens, man. I definitely can relate, quite, to the point where I wouldn't want to relate, but we kind of got a lot in common when it comes to that situation in our lives, man. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. don't really have a lot of
No.
enemies, I don't think. But
Mhm.
it's just a saying that people say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, man. I wouldn't at all. That's something that going through that was it changed me as a person in general. It changed me as a man. It changed me as a coach. It changed me as a father, a husband. It puts life into perspective. It puts, like you said, when, what's important now. Like
Yeah,
it is, and I say this to this day. Every day I tell my kids, man, look, football is important, but it's not your life.
that's right.
It's not your life, man. You have to live a purpose-driven life
Mhm.
for yourself intrinsically, like
Yeah,
inside. You have to be self-motivated. You have to be somebody that stands out, and that's gonna be, that's gonna be your stronghold for your life, for you mentally in general, not football. Football is gonna be a bridge to get to that point.
that's
It's going to
right.
help you get to that point, but it's not going to, mold you into you are who you are. It's going to be what, drives you, intrinsically. So,
There's no doubt, and like you said, it's really who you are as a football coach, and the wins and the losses truly don't define you. It's how you are as a person, and how you treat people, and what you truly believe as a man, as a Christian, as a father, as a husband. Those are the things that are going to prevail you. Not how many championship rings you got, but
right,
those are great. Those are awesome to have, but we're all striving to be champions. And like I said, I firmly believe that God is He's made us to be extraordinary, not just ordinary people. But at the same time, it's all about how you operate, how you treat people. I mean, put your ego to the side and try to figure out how you can help others. And I think that's why we love the coaching profession. It's a ministry of its own, and that's why I think we're so blessed to get to do this. And
yeah,
we're human, and we got to continually remind ourselves that you know we're here under God's will, and we do have a purpose, and our purpose is to continue to mold these young men, and uh, that's what I take pride in. But yes, I know we kind of got off the path a little bit there, Tony, but
No,
uh,
that's good, man. If people need to hear it, I need to hear it. For me, my prayers and my blessings go out to both of you guys, man. And I don't care how old you is and how much of a grown up you think you are. That's something you'll never be prepared for, to lose both of your mother and your father, man. And you know, uh, just kind of getting back to your coaching, and
mhm.
you spent almost a decade at UAB. Can you talk about some of the successes and some of the moments that you had there that are most memorable to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, the one that just really sticks out in my mind is in 2017, Latex driving. I mean they're fixing to do it, and they line up to kick a field goal to win the game, and we blocked it. I mean, it was we called it leaper. We had a couple guys that me and Jeremy recruited, Stacy Keeley and Jamal. Those guys 6'8", 6'7", with 35 to 38-inch verticals. Man, they got up and they blocked it. And Hawk was the first dude that I saw. We were running on the field. We just grabbed each other and hugged each other. It was just one of those moments that we weren't there yet. We didn't know who we were. We didn't really have an identity as a team, as a program. And Coach Clark was fighting on a daily basis for the whole family mentality. Do it better than it's ever been done. Breaking it down on champs. We were doing all those things, but we truly weren't quite there yet. But I think that game and that block really turned the tide for us. And we ended on going to win, I think, 4 out of the next 5. And getting the Bahamas Bowl, our first year back into play, it was just such an awesome, memorable feeling that I think catapulted us into, the conference championships, and the things we did after that kind of fed off that. And, but, obviously the next year was really big. We won the conference championship, and then in 2020, just fighting all those battles through COVID, and, practicing all the way till Thursday, and then canceling the games, and, all those, when we beat Marshall in 2020, that was another special moment. And about 20 degrees of weather. It was super cold, and the kids prevailed, and, at the end of the day, you have a message, you have a philosophy and who you want to be. But, our kids at UAB, the kids that we recruited to be there, they truly bought into it. And, I think those memories are, truly the most special, and just impacting kids. We had a kid that we recruited named Kevin Penn, that was he was out of Decatur, Austin High School. And, Kevin gave his life to Christ my last year there. And just seeing things like that happen were special. And a lot of people don't know, what goes on behind the scenes. Just stories like that we got to encounter and be a part of were truly special, along with the championships and seeing guys make it to the NFL. One kid that Hawk and I recruited, Anthony Rush, we got to watch his career develop as an NFL player. And, Anthony didn't come from anything, and was a junior college guy. And just seeing those guys come from the ground up, that was truly a special moment as well. We had some good times, and I really hated to see Hawk go. That was it put a hurt on us, man. It put a hurt on me, because our room was so much stronger with you in it, man. And, man, we missed you after you left, man. But we did have a couple good years together, and proud of you, man, and what you're doing now, man.
No doubt, brother. And heck, I miss y'all too, man. I tell you this, man, it was definitely very unique going to LSU as a player personnel guy, versus actually being on the ball side of things. But I kind of worked my way
You did.
smoothly over there, slowly as the year went on, once I got it rolling the right way, man. But thinking back on that La Tech moment, that was probably before LSU, I would say that was the biggest game I've been in, the biggest moment I've been in, until I, got into the moment we played Alabama, and we played Central Florida in the Fiesta Bowl, and we're down by like 3 touchdowns, and come back and win the game with Joe Burrow. But that moment right there, man, I'll never forget it. I mean, I had a clipboard in my hand. I'm praying, man. I'm like, can we block this thing? I don't know. We got a bunch of, guys are gonna work the tail off. Stacy 6'7", Jamal is like 6'8". And you got Rush is pushing the pile, trying to knock him back to create that angle, that perfect angle to get a block, man. And I heard that double thump. I was like, wow. So yeah, man, when you said that brought back so many memories, so many great memories, man.
No,
But
there's no question.
no doubt. So kind of looking back on your career, man, you played for Bill Clark at high school, at Prattville High School there. You coached with him and for him at UAB for a long time. Just kind of talk about Bill Clark and kind of how he had an influence on your life and your career.
Yeah, I mean, I can't ever repay Coach Clark for what all he's done for me. He's he was like a second father figure for me. When he got to Prattville in 1999, I was a freshman going into my sophomore year. And he just brought just so much excitement. He treated us like champions. He brought the swag. He got us new uniforms. He made sure that we understood that we weren't going to ride on the cheese wagons to road games. We were going to ride greyhounds, and just a first class individual that really taught me what winning was about. He taught me how to be a man. He taught us so many things that still are with me today. Just the work ethic. When you think you're working, you still got another gear you can catch. And he just made football special. I mean, he made me understand that it takes a little bit more than what you think. You can always give just a little bit more. And he took our program to the next level. He did. And we had some good runs there at the end of my career at Prattville. We had a great defense my junior year with Roman Harper at safety and Zach Woodfin at linebacker, and Jason Wallace, who's the head coach now, he's playing Sam linebacker, and we just had a stud defense. Had like 6 shutouts that year, and Roman broke his leg in the last game of the year. Roman played quarterback as well, and I think if he doesn't break his leg, we're going to have a strong state title run that year. Came up a little bit short, but he just brought just so much passion and energy and doing things right and making guys, not cut corners and holding guys accountable. Just what you want to do as a coach today, which, things that we fight now as coaches, and in such a self-inflicted world, we still try to bring that whole image of, hey, you do got to go the extra mile. Like, you do have to be held accountable. Like, yeah, you're not doing this right. Like, look, here's how we need to get this done. And just, being truthful with guys, and I think, and the biggest thing that I learned is he cared about us, right? So, we know all players don't care what you know until they know that you truly care about them. And, I feel like, the more that you care and that he cares about you, the harder you're going to play. And, I would have ran through a brick wall for Coach Clark, still will till today. And, he was definitely a strong mentor and still is today. And, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and still being there for me, still there for me today. And just, like I said, I wouldn't be able to repay him for everything he's done for me. He's been top-notch person, and just a great mentor, and somebody that I've learned so much from that I can't even put into words.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. Obviously Bill was a very big influence on you, and kind of talking about your coaching style and your philosophy. It seems like a lot of it is similar in a lot of ways. Kind of expound on that and kind of let us know what is your coaching philosophy, and how would you describe your style of coaching, and how you train your young men?
Yeah, I mean, Tony, I think that's, a lot of that reflects exactly what my philosophy is. You want to, I mean, football is such a demanding sport. Football requires a lot of time. You got to spend a lot of time with your guys. And, if we're going to spend that much time together, we need to bond, and we need to create a bond that can't be broken. And I feel like the whole family philosophy, the whole family aspect is spot on, because, you are a team, and obviously you're not blood, but you're still brothers. You're still brothers in Christ. You still have been brought together for a reason, for a purpose. And I think when you get them to the point to where they understand that they're in it together, I think the team building, taking guys to dinner, bringing them over to your house, being around them as much as you can, extra film study, just becomes so much more important. But holding them accountable, and you know, I'll never forget. Um, we had a moment with Big Ant in our office one day, and it was all because he wasn't taking notes, and me and Hawk was trying to hold him accountable, and uh, there was a moment where he didn't want to be held accountable, and we had put him in a situation where we were going to hold him accountable, and he was going to, he was going to make sure that he knew he was a part of this team, and it's still that story. He came back and he was like, "Man, coach, you wouldn't believe, it's a $25,000 fine if we get caught not taking notes." And I was like, "Look, man, we were preparing you for that moment." And it's but it's all about positive reinforcement too, right? If you get on a kid, it's just like the other day in practice, like getting on a kid, about being physical, about finishing to the whistle, finishing to the echo of the whistle. And he just wasn't doing it. And, I had to jump his tail. But hey, after practice, you put your arm around him, you love him, and you're like, "Look, man, this is exactly why in that moment I was doing this, because if I didn't care, then I wouldn't say anything at all. If I truly didn't care, I'd just let it go. But I do care, whether it's on the field, off the field, your actions, your nonverbal communication, how you carry yourself. I truly believe all those things matter, and just reinforcing, what you expect as a coach, what you expect our identity to look like, and I think that was always something that I wanted to do in our first meeting, whether it's spring training or fall camp, was, go around the room and make sure that, this is their team. Yeah, you're the coach, but this is their team, and make each guy stand up, say, "Hey, man, like, when you think of our identity and who we want to be, okay, give me one word or give me a phrase that you picture our D line or our front looking like. I mean, what is our identity?" And we would go down the room, each man, and just, letting them and just stimulating them to really take ownership of their team, and let's truly make this something in to what you want it to be, what you want to put your name on. And uh, I think just lifting guys up, but I mean, giving them tough love when they need it. That's the fine line that we got to toe that line every day, because kids can break down mentally. I've seen kids get to the point where they didn't believe they could do it, and you got to lift them back up. You got to spend time with them. And, I truly think that when you treat them boys like they're your sons. I mean, they're your sons away from your family. And I got 3 boys at home, but I'd like to think that I would coach my guys just like I coach my own sons. And that's with care, trust, them understanding that I'm going to be there for them, whether, doesn't matter what it is, you need me, I got your back. But at the same time, you got to buy in to what we're doing, to what message we're bringing as well. And, but yeah, Tony, I mean, I think that, when they understand that you truly care is when they play their hardest, and you can get the best out of your guys. And, like I said, we're all brothers in Christ, and there's a purpose. And like Hawk said, it's a purpose-driven life. It's a purpose-driven season. And when we all can understand that and be on the same page, I think that's when special things happen. They truly do. But those kids, we had at UAB, and Hawk and I, we spent a lot of time with them, and we'd bring them in, we'd talk to them, and that was the greatest part about having Hawk is, we could always tag team it, and he could be bad cop, I could be good cop, or I could be bad cop, he could be good cop, but we were always hitting both sides of the spectrum, which was, awesome. And I think when you get a guy that, most of the time you got one D-line coach, but when you can get two coaching that unit, that's when you can do some special things, really. But hopefully that answers your question, Tony. In a nutshell, that's about what it is, my man.
No doubt. That definitely answered the question for sure. I can tell you this right here, just kind of thinking back on that moment with Rush, man. I don't think he is the player or the person he is right now without that moment. That was a tough moment for him.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, he came from something where it was a tough life for him,
Mm-hmm.
when it came to authority figures.
Yeah.
It was hard for him to understand how to take authority,
Right.
and especially authority that was coming from his coach.
Right.
So he had to learn quick, like, look, yes, you're a good player, but
Yeah.
you're not the only defensive lineman we have. And we want you to be successful in everything that you do in life, not just here at UAB, not just be an all-conference player here or, and go and win a conference championship here. Those are great too, but in life in general, you're
Yeah.
going to always have somebody to answer to. I don't care what job you have. Even if you're your own boss, being your own boss, you got a boss too. You got to answer to somebody,
You're right.
So he had to understand how to, accept that authority figure in both of us. And I think it helped him to become the man he is now, man. And I think he just got to Philly. I actually just talked to him last week. So we're going to have him on here too in a couple of weeks here. So
That's awesome.
no doubt.
That was great.
So I want to kind of get to the point, man, and we call this trench mob testimonies,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of touched on it at the beginning of the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but want to kind of get you to talk about your biggest test in your life, your biggest challenge in life that allows you to get on here today and tell us your testimony.
There's no question. I feel like I've been tested many of times. Obviously with the situation with my family, there's no question. I was definitely tested in that moment. I could have crumbled. I could have broke. Just with the power of prayer and staying with my faith, I continued to climb the mountain, and just that, and then just climbing the coaching ladder, man. I mean, we've all had to do it. A lot of guys are getting there a little bit quicker these days, but we were GAs. And did you GA, Tony?
I did. I GA'd at Detroit in my alma mater.
Well, I mean, we all did the graduate assistant role, and that tests you more than anything. Not getting paid, not getting any respect. I mean, it's like you were getting hazed as a frat boy or something, man. It's I can remember those days, and I GA'd at Texas State, and that was tough coming up. But once I did get that full-time position, it was worth it. It was worth all the times where you had to stay up till 3 a.m. doing crazy stuff, breakdowns, and all of that. But I think the biggest test has been, what I've gone through recently, right? So, we are bowl eligible and win the Bahamas Bowl and have a great year. Anywhere else, you would be in great shape, but we all lose our job. Most of us did at UAB, and Coach Dilfer's hired, and he doesn't keep me on as the D-line coach. And man, I went through a lot of pain, and that tested me till the point of no return. But I've landed here at Briarwood Christian, and I feel like that um, everything happens for a reason, and just being around godly men and being in a situation where I can impact these kids' lives every day, just at a high school level, at a younger level than what I've been used to. I've coached past 13 years at the collegiate level, and all of a sudden, I can't get on. There's certain jobs that I could have taken halfway across the country, but with 4 kids and 3 babies and diapers, I couldn't do it. And I stayed here in Birmingham, and like we talked about earlier, just you as a coach and kind of your status or what have you, it really don't define you. It's all about who you are and how you impact these kids' lives. And I think that's been the biggest test for me is just understanding that God has a plan. This is my purpose, and this is just another chapter in the book that I have to do my very best every day to impact these kids and show these kids direction the right way. And at the same time, continue to try to live in the image of God and be the best man I could possibly be, and I think also taking this job is giving me more time at home to be a better husband, to be a better father. I got 4 children now, and they're looking to me for leadership. And I'll just be honest, man. You know, I was lacking, man. I hadn't been the best husband, wasn't being the best father. Heck, I wasn't even home. A lot of the time, I look up and our 10-year-old daughter Emma. You know, I can remember when I used to hold her, and now she's too cool for school. She's 10 years old, and she's 10 going on 18. And I don't want to miss all the memories that we could have possibly made. And I understand coaching's demanding. Even at the high school level, you still work hours. You're still, up here working game planning for the opening week, late at night on Sundays, and uh, but the biggest test is just, with all that being said, just being a better man, better father, better husband, um, in the midst of losing my job and trying to start a new chapter. And but yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of tests that I've been through, a lot of rejection that I had to overcome. But I think through all of that, when the smoke clears, I've become a better man, and I'm heading in the right direction, and I'm doing what God's called me to do. I'll never forget. I'm on the phone with this guy, and it's a sales job. Like, I'm unemployed, so can't get a coaching job. So I'm going to exercise all angles. So I'm talking to this guy, and he's like, I want you, you know, if I don't get you a job, if I don't hire you, if anything, I want you to write down all your best qualities. I want you to write down what that you truly think God's called you to do. And I want you to write down your strengths and your weaknesses. And after you do that and you pray about it, you're going to understand exactly where you need to be. And, after evaluating myself and, getting fired and which I've been through twice, my boss at Texas State retired, and at UAB, Coach Clark retired, which allowed them to bring in a new head coach. And most of the time they're not going to keep you. They don't know you, and it is what it is. But I've had a ton of self-reflection, and, during that time, I'm sitting there looking at my list, and I'm like, man, I'm a football coach, man. It's what I am. Those are my best qualities. Uh, I enjoy impacting kids. I enjoy mentoring kids. I enjoy coaching football. I enjoy being around great dudes, like you guys. I mean, it's truly a fraternity. Us as football coaches, we got to stick together because, I know for sure, man. I mean, I will always help out anyone that gets put in a situation like I was in last year, because it is scary. It's frightening because you're like, all right, man, I've coached football for 15 years. Yeah, I could go into sales, but this is what I do. These are my strong points. And, if anybody's ever in that situation, I would never want to see them suffer, which, I had to go through some suffering. I had to feel some pain, and it was painful for months and months and months. And then Coach Matthews here at Briarwood Christian called me, the athletic director, and he wanted me to come on, and got an amazing role as the head strength coach here, coach tight ends and running backs, and something that I truly enjoy doing, and just mentoring these guys. But just facing that test, and there's been multiple tests that I've had to face, has truly been, my testimony just as a person, and the test of ultimately just being a better husband, better father, better friend, better man of Christ, just a son of God that is just truly blessed. And I need to remind myself every day that that's the true test. And
you are blessed, brother. You doing a heck of a job at passing your test right now as you're going through it, man. Because we've talked about it, when it comes down to it, man, it's about what you speak on. Like, it's about your family, it's about your children. Emma's 10, Adele's 10.
I know.
So it's
Time flies.
It's crazy, man. I mean, she's tall. She's like, she's a growing little girl, like about to be a woman soon, man. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is not my baby I used to hold anymore. So I don't want to miss that. So sometimes, things happen for a reason.
Right.
And we don't understand it, and we're not supposed to understand it. It's not meant for us to understand, but what it's meant for us to do is to go through that test, pass that test, and you're doing a heck of a job at it, man. Proud of where you at right now in your life as a man, as a father, as a husband, and you're doing a hell of a job with what you got right now. And you're going to continue to be great at coaching too. You're going to get opportunities that are going to be that you can take. And I understand that completely. When you said it was other opportunities that were out there that you couldn't take, I've been there, and I'm like, I'm not leaving my 5-month-old to go chase the job over here. It's not worth it, so understanding your worth, understanding who you are as a man, as a father, man, you're passing your test every day, man. I'm proud of you, man. I appreciate you, jumping on with us tonight, because it's needed. I think the space is needed. I think people need to hear these testimonies, and need to hear what we go through as men, as football coaches, as husbands, as fathers. So it's needed, man. I appreciate you,
man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you fellas, man. You guys have done a heck of a job. Just, I watched the Twitter spaces a couple of times, and it's truly very needed. It's a special, it's a testimony to you guys. I mean, y'all are trying to grow this thing the right way. And, like I said earlier, us as coaches, we're a big fraternity. We got to stick together, man. And I appreciate you guys putting me on your platform today, and enjoyed sharing my testimony. And thank you very much, guys.
It's great to have you, Kyle, man. It's a pleasure to meet you, too. It's my first time meeting you. I always, heard about you. I've never, met you. So, obviously virtually, but man, it was good to meet you, man. A lot of great wisdom tonight, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your insight.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No doubt. And that is Trench Mob Testimonies, and we are out.